and welcome back to Identity Insights by Indicio. I'm your host, Tim Spring, and today I'm joined by Indicio's strategic advisor, Will Groah. We're very excited to have his expertise joining us here at Indicio and really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today. If we could, would you mind starting with a little bit about your experience? I understand you've founded and exited companies in the past and would like to know a little bit more about that.
Sure, Tim, and thanks for having me. Did a lean bootstrap company back when I was in my early 30s. The internet was just coming out. It all seemed very exciting, had a lot of energy, and ended up to be a company of a pretty big size. We got it up to around 300 people and 150 million in revenue. Um, and we were serving the defense and intelligence sector, so lots of big government programs with three-letter agencies. It was quite the experience.
All right. Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun and really successful. Wow, 300 employees and 150 million in revenue is definitely, it seems pretty sizable to me. So what made you want to go from doing that to advising Indicio? And I know you advise, you have your hands in a few things. So what made you want to make that transition?
So that was a major career change for me. I planned my succession for a few years. Uh, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do next, but I felt it was going to be somewhere around this area of technology, and especially identity. I thought I was going to go do another lean bootstrap company, but I knew I needed to unlearn a lot of things from the previous industry and a whole new network. So I decided once I exited, I was just going to spend 18 months just going to conferences and meeting with startup companies and investors and angels and venture funds and get a feel for how things really worked when you had uh, outside investors help bootstrap your company. So that 18 months led me to a number of the open source forums. A lot of the members of Indicio were in those forums. So this is even before the company had formed. And it wasn't too long after that I really thought, wow, this is a team that I can get behind. I think I can add some value to and contribute. I'm certainly going to learn a lot. Maybe I don't want to do another lean bootstrap company. Maybe my third career is going to be helping um, companies like Indicio and other startups um, go through the journey in the current day, help them raise money and help them go through all the things that I had to go through when it was just me, and all the different steps you have to take to build a company up from scratch.
Sounds good. So I'm curious, right from those early conversations, what was it that made you say, "Hey, digital identity," or "Hey, Indicio's team"? What was it? If there was any specific things that you were like, you had a light bulb moment, you were like, "Hey, this could be the future right here."
Well, it was really before I left the old company. I was already doing use cases in blockchain, so I felt pretty confident that wherever I was going to be, or whatever I was going to do, was going to be in blockchain. And also, just because of background, cybersecurity was uh, elevated in the work that I did. So there was a few things going on in my head when I met Indicio and got to know them a little bit better. And it really started with people with a viable approach to do something at scale, future proof it. Um, I really like the people and the approach that they were taking to this large problem more than anything else. Um, Federated identity has been around for 20 years or so. It's outlived its usefulness. But it's the major dominant identity approach today. Um, I just felt like it was ripe for disruption, and I just wanted to be involved with companies that were um, in this next generation of identity. Um, I also felt very strongly about the approach to privacy architecture and privacy by design. Um, all of Indicio's products, as you know, is built on open source and open standards. So this really resonated with me.
All right. So you touched on federated identity kind of running its course in terms of usefulness, right? It's been around for 20 years, but I know a lot of people still do rely on it and use it, every day. So I'm curious, what is kind of the motivating factor if someone were to switch to a more decentralized model for their identity?
Well, federated identity is centralized. Inherent in that is it's a honeypot. So enterprise and governments have large databases of identity. Inherent in the structure of federated identity is correlation, and that correlation presents lots of holes. Um, versus decentralized identity or portable identity goes by many names. Um, it is inherently privacy respecting and it is inherently a zero trust overlay. So it is a completely different approach to getting the delivering the same service and offering as federated identity, but it just does it in a much better architecture, much better that meaning that it is stronger, more secure. Zero trust overlay is very powerful. Technology that's it's come out of the U.S. government um, programs. It's very good for enterprise customers, which are just us, just regular people. We can it's faster and it's going to cost less, and our experiences are going to be better.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'm all for better customer experience every time because I do hate, security questions, multi-factor authentication, all that stuff is
Yeah.
frustrating but necessary.
Yes, we all love changing our passwords a few times a day.
Yes, absolutely. So I know, right, as a strategic advisor, you get to, kind of be hands-on with some Indicio's projects and, kind of add your advice or even do things, on your own. I'm curious, are there any projects that you're currently working with Indicio that you're particularly excited about that you could tell us a little bit about as well?
Sure. I mean, the big one is CETA's digital travel ecosystem. So, that partnership goes back a few years now. CETA, for those in the audience that don't know, is a consortium of government and airports and airlines largely. It's essentially they essentially have a almost an operating system for interoperability between airlines and airports and governments. So, what I love about uh, their approach, which is underpinned by Indicio's flagship project, but now they're adding partners to the mix. So, Ademia, who, if you're in the US, you'll see Ademia and NEC biometrics when you cross a border at an airport, through TSA. Those are major players. They're bringing their biometric uh, offerings, fusing it with Indicio's technology, and then CETA is making that available to all their existing affiliates, which are essentially every airport and every airline in in the world, really. So this is obviously just a game changer for cross-border travel, but that's just scratching the surface. This can easily permeate the entire travel and hospitality space. So if you think of you're going on a trip, obviously or if you're going on a trip overseas, you're crossing a border, you're going to likely be in a hotel, possibly rent a car, maybe do some entertainment. Your digital identity is going to be prevalent in all those things. So um, I just see this as really has a lot of legs. It's great for the partners like Academia at NEC. It's great for CETA. It's great for enterprise, and most of all, I get excited because it's just good for citizens, people.
Absolutely. No, that sounds like a pretty massive project to kind of try to get your arms around there. So I'm curious, following up on that, because right, you said it could change everything for citizens, travelers, hospitality, all that kind of stuff. Where do you see this technology having the most impact in terms of day-to-day life or for businesses or wherever you think it'll touch the most people?
Certainly, businesses are going to feel the most impact. We're already seeing Mastercard and Visa um, uh, set the foundation for this. Android just last month is making this available for developers um, on the mobile operating system. It's already happening in a number of sectors already. And really, why businesses are looking at this is they realize that the current approach is broken. Fraud is a huge cost to bottom line, both in regulatory and compliance and cleaning up messes after bad guys. It doesn't make economic sense anymore. And even more importantly, the technology has delivers a greater intrinsic value while reducing costs. I mean, that's just a double whammy for enterprise. It's very compelling on an economic basis for enterprise to easily integrate this feasible technology and provide really a superpower capability of new business model possibilities and new revenue streams. And of course, as citizens, we get the benefit of all that, ideally with uh, higher speed and convenience and lower cost increases.
Absolutely. So I know, right, obviously people have been working on this kind of stuff for years. I know Indicio has been at it for a few years. I'm curious if you could, if you were to look ahead into the future, are we 2, 5, 10 years? Like what timelines do you think where people could actually use it in their day-to-day lives? Because I know it's not quite everywhere yet.
No, not quite every year yet. I'd say for the last 2 years, I've said, well, within 2 years, the technology adoption's been slower than I thought. But it seems like every week there is something new that's moving digital identity forward. So in the U.S., mobile driver's license, the MDL standard, is becoming more prevalent. Um, uh, Open protocols under OpenID are more prevalent now, like with the Android announcement last month. Um, I think in the next 2 years, let's just talk about travel. We will see cross-border travel beginning to embrace at the country scale, probably for small countries first, and and also with major airlines and airports. That seems pretty rock solid. Um, I expect the federated identity players, some of them have uh, begun studying the technology and how to integrate it with existing offerings. That's just natural across the chasm type uh, business planning that they need to do. I can see, within 2 years, possibly some of the major federated digital identity players start offering more on a larger scale. Um, Visa and MasterCard have their payment system foundations with this technology already established, so they're ready to scale. So possibly within 2 years, we're going to see um, um, what what happens with those. Beyond that, it's anybody guess. There's people that have been in this industry much longer than I have and seen what's work and what doesn't work. just really feels like an exciting time right now, the next few years.
All right. Absolutely. I would totally agree. I hadn't even heard about the OpenID for Android thing, but that's exciting that they're bringing that to all their customer base as well. So we do just have a few minutes here, Will, and I do appreciate you taking all this time with us today. Are there any parting thoughts or anything that you'd really like the audience to know about decentralized identity or, what you're excited to accomplish with Indicio?
Sure. I would just leave on this note. Um, I like the technology, shiny technology, and I can geek out and love geeking out with the technology part, but that's really not the most exciting thing about this. It's more than just a technology; it's a fusion of of business model with technology, and that's completely different. So I don't hear the business model element uh, of the shiny technology spoken about enough. And, you know, the way I would describe it is that it essentially allows a company, an enterprise, um, to productize trust. And that's not as abstract as it might sound. So if you think of trust as a service, I don't know if that's a thing or not, but let's just call it trust as a service. So when trust is low in a system, consider federated identity now, then speed and convenience is slowed and costs are elevated. That's our current situation now. So you can think about that as an imputed trust tax on our time and with higher costs. That's really where we are today. On the other hand, when trust goes up, speed and convenience also increase and cost comes down. Um, so that's like a trust dividend. So the technology itself, while fascinating and just so fascinating, it's the business model to allow trust to be productized. And in terms of economics, when you flip a trust tax into a trust dividend, that is like a double whammy on a company's bottom line in a good way, and in a good way for the service offerings they're delivering to their customers. Um, so that's kind of what I would like to leave at the end of this. Just think of trust as a product, trust as a service. That's what this technology is all about.
All right. No, well said. If I could summarize just to make sure that I understood it correctly, in that low trust system that's federated identity, right? You put in your username and password, and then you also have multi-factor or security questions or something else, and that costs you time as a user and the business money to do, right? That's that low trust tax versus logging in with a decentralized identity. It's basically immediate. There's no secondary anything, and you're in. And because of cryptography and all the shiny technical things, we can trust it's you. And that's the high trust, quick, better user experience, all that.
Much better said than I did.
Perfect. That's what I thought you were getting at. I just wanted to make sure that I was with you there still. Awesome. Well, thank you, Will. Really appreciate you taking the time. Like I said, all your insights have been awesome and definitely excited to see where the technology goes in the next couple of years with you. If you at home are interested in learning a bit more about portable identity or decentralized identity, verifiable credential technology, please be sure to subscribe to the channel and we'll continue to bring you some more educational content. And if you have any questions or specific topics that you'd like for us to cover, please go ahead and leave a comment below. We'll be sure to read and address them. Thank you all for watching.